Every year, millions of people pack their bags, spend thousands of dollars, and fly halfway around the world, only to come home wishing they had never gone. Not because the photos lied, not because they had bad luck, but because nobody warned them. Today, we're counting down 20 countries tourists regret visiting. And we're starting with one that might be closer to home than you think. Number 20, the United States. Now before you turn this off, hear me out. This one isn't about danger. It's about the uncomfortable gap between what millions of international visitors expect when they finally make the trip to America and what they actually find when they get here. For Americans traveling domestically, that same gap exists in some of the country's most famous cities, and it's wider than most people want to admit. The first shock is the cost. Everything in America carries a price tag that catches people off guard. Not just hotels and flights, but the unspoken culture of tipping that has spread into almost every corner of daily life. A sit-down lunch, a coffee, a taxi ride, a haircut, all of them come with that little screen pointed at you asking for 18, 20, 25%. Foreign visitors in particular find this system confusing and exhausting. Budget what you think you need, then add 20% on top. That's the honest rule. Then there's the transportation problem. Outside of New York City, getting around America without a car is genuinely difficult. Tourists who arrive in Los Angeles or Phoenix expecting a subway system like Paris or London find themselves stranded, paying for expensive rentals and sitting in traffic for hours at a time. The famous cities can also disappoint. Parts of San Francisco and Los Angeles that once felt like the heart of American dreams now struggle with visible homelessness, street crime, and neighborhoods where walking after dark is not something you want to do. The Alamo in San Antonio, one of the most famous historical sites in the country, sits directly next to a shopping mall. That alone tells you something. The bright side is real, though. America's national parks are among the greatest treasures on Earth. Yellowstone, Yosemite, the Grand Canyon. These places deliver every single time. If you're planning a trip here, build your itinerary around the natural wonders and the smaller towns, not the overcrowded big city highlights. You'll spend less and leave with far better memories. Number 19, the Maldives. The photographs are not lying. The water really is that color, and the sand really is that white. But the regret that travelers bring home from this corner of the Indian Ocean is almost never about what they saw. It's about what they paid, and the strange hollow feeling that comes with spending a fortune to sit in a very small, very expensive box on the ocean. Here's the reality. A standard resort stay here is one of the most expensive travel experiences you can have anywhere in the world. A single night at a water bungalow can run several hundred, and that is before you pay for meals, which are priced as though every ingredient was flown in by private helicopter. A short taxibo ride between islands has been reported to cost as much as $75 for less than 4 miles. The economics are almost offensive, and here's what really stings. Once you're there, you're essentially stuck. Most resorts are private islands. There's nowhere to walk to, no local restaurant around the corner, no market down the street. You either eat at the resort at resort prices, or you don't eat. Travelers who came expecting a rich, vibrant cultural experience find almost none. The islands are beautiful but quiet, and the isolation that sounds romantic in a brochure can start to feel like a very luxurious form of being trapped after about 48 hours. The reefs have also suffered significant damage from coral bleaching in recent years, which disappoints snorkelers and divers who came specifically for the underwater world. If you want crystal clear tropical water, there are other ways to get it, without spending your entire retirement fund on a single week. And if that felt like a gilded cage, wait until you hear about the next destination, because the regret there runs even deeper, and it costs just as much to find out. Number 18, France. The most visited country on Earth and consistently one of the most complained about destinations for American travelers. That combination tells you something important. The dream is powerful. Sidewalk cafes, the Eiffel Tower at golden hour, the wine and the bread and the easy sophistication. The reality hits different once you land. Paris, where most visitors spend their time, is a city under enormous pressure. Nearly 37 million tourists pass through every year, and the infrastructure was simply not built for that kind of volume. The famous landmarks are overcrowded to a degree that feels almost comical. The Mona Lisa, arguably the most famous painting in human history, is about the size of a carry-on bag. You will not see it up close. You will see the backs of thousands of people holding their phones above their heads, and somewhere beyond them, a small smudge of paint behind bulletproof glass. Pickpocketing in Paris is not occasional. It is organized, professional, and relentless. Near every major landmark, you will find coordinated groups running distraction scams, the petition trick, the friendship bracelet hustle, fake police officers asking to inspect your wallet. These operations run every single day, and they specifically target tourists who look like they're from out of town. The city can also feel surprisingly hostile to visitors who don't speak French. Service in restaurants and shops sometimes carries a coldness that feels deliberate. The prices in central Paris are extraordinary. A coffee near the Eiffel Tower can cost more than a full sit-down meal in most other European capitals. Beautiful regions exist that most tourists never reach. Brittany, Alsace, the Lire Valley. But the average first-time visitor spends most of their time fighting crowds in Paris and comes home feeling vaguely cheated. Number 17, the Dominican Republic. Punta Ana is one of the most popular Caribbean destinations for American travelers, and it's not hard to understand why. Direct flights, all-inclusive resorts, warm weather, beaches that look perfect in every photograph. But a remarkable number of travelers come home with a specific kind of regret. Not that something bad happened, but that nothing real happened at all. The all-inclusive model, done the way most resorts here do it, essentially seals you inside a walled compound for the duration of your vacation. You eat buffet food. You drink watered-down drinks at a swim-up bar. You lie on a beach that is beautiful but surrounded by hundreds of other guests from the same hotel. And when you step outside the gates, even briefly, the contrast is so sharp, it can be genuinely unsettling. The poverty directly outside the resort fences is serious and visible, and many travelers describe feeling a deep discomfort about spending thousands of dollars on a luxury bubble while the surrounding communities struggle. The food quality inside most all-inclusives is a persistent complaint. The kind of mediocre buffet you'd expect at a mid-range hotel conference, not a premium vacation destination. Scams targeting tourists outside the resort zones are common, and taxis without meters are notorious for charging visitors 5 and 10 times the fair price. What most travelers say when when they come home is this: they saw a hotel. If you're going to make the trip, at the very least, carve out a day or two to visit Santo Domingo, the oldest European city in the Americas, where the history and the local food will show you what this place actually is. Not happy with your resort vacation? Wait until number 16, where the disappointment is baked right into the geography. Number 16, Greece. Santorini is one of the most photographed places on Earth, and visiting it has become a kind of pilgrimage for American travelers who want to see those whitewashed buildings and blue Ds. The problem is that roughly 2 million people make that same pilgrimage every year. And what was once a quiet, beautiful Greek island has become something closer to a theme park built around a sunset. The famous view from Ia, where the entire world seems to gather to photograph the sun going down over the caldera, now requires arriving an hour early to secure a spot, then standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers while tour guides shout into microphones behind you. Restaurants with a view of the water charge double what they would anywhere else in the country. A simple lunch, a wrap, a coffee can run 12 to 15 before you've ordered anything memorable. Everywhere you look, something is for sale, and very little of it has anything to do with actual Greek culture. The island moves at the speed of mass tourism, not the slower rhythm that the region once promised. Travelers who visit Santorini expecting to experience Greece often discover they've experienced a very expensive international airport gift shop like a Greek island. The good news is that Greece itself is genuinely magnificent, and the fix is simple. Skip Santorini. Islands like Naxos, Paros, and Milos offer the same dramatic Ionian scenery, authentic local food, and reasonable prices with a fraction of the crowds. The Greek mainland with its ancient history and quiet coastal towns rewards the traveler who digs a little deeper. Number 15. Guam. Classified as a United States territory, which means Americans don't need a passport to get there. And for many travelers, particularly those in the western United States, it presents itself as a convenient Pacific getaway. The reality that greets visitors is considerably less tropical than the marketing suggests. The dominant visual impression is not white beaches and swaying palms. It's American military infrastructure, aging concrete structures, and the general atmosphere of a place that was built for strategic purposes rather than beauty. The tourist zone around Tumen Bay has the feel of an outdated resort strip from another era, with high prices attached to low charm. Travelers who arrive expecting something like Hawaii or the Caribbean find instead something closer to an American strip mall that happens to sit near warm water. crime is a legitimate concern. Property theft from tourist accommodations and break-ins targeting vehicles parked at beaches happen with enough regularity that it shows up in U.S. State Department advisories. Leaving any valuables in a rental car is specifically warned against. Some of the beaches near the main developed areas carry water quality advisories, which is not what you want to discover after you've flown across the Pacific to find them. The island does have genuine history. Its role in World War II is significant, and the northern cliffs offer dramatic scenery. But for travelers expecting a tropical paradise at tropical prices, the experience delivers neither. The cost of getting there and staying there is hard to justify given what you actually find once you arrive. Guam disappoints in the geography department, but the next country on this list disappoints in ways that go far beyond scenery. Number 14, Thailand. For many years this was considered one of the great travel bargains of the world. A place where the food was extraordinary, the temples were stunning, the beaches were breathtaking, and your dollar went further than almost anywhere else. Parts of that are still true. But the Thailand that many travelers encounter today in the most popular destinations is a very different place from the one in the guidebooks. Destinations like Koh, Pattaya, and the crowded stretches of Phuket have been so thoroughly consumed by mass tourism that they bear almost no resemblance to the authentic country that made it famous. The beaches in these areas are noisy, littered, and packed with vendors, rental shops and bars, aimed entirely at foreign visitors looking for a cheap party. Scams targeting tourists are persistent and creative. The motorbike rental scam is the most common. You rent a scooter, return it with no visible damage, and the rental operator then claims you scratched it and demands hundreds of dollars. The tuk-tuk scam, where a driver offers to take you somewhere for almost nothing and then detours to a shop where he collects a commission for your presence, is a daily occurrence in Bangkok. Stray dogs in areas outside the main tourist centers are a genuine concern, and food hygiene standards at some night markets are inconsistent enough that stomach illness is practically a rite of passage. The country still has remarkable things to offer. The north around Chiang Rai, the quieter islands, the ancient temples, but you have to be willing to move well beyond the places that everyone else goes to find them. Number 13, the United Arab Emirates. Dubai sells itself as the future. The tallest buildings, the most extravagant hotels, the most ambitious construction projects in human history, and there's no question that it delivers on spectacle. If you want to see what happens when unlimited money is applied to architecture and retail, it will not disappoint. But travelers who arrive expecting a rich, authentic cultural experience or a relaxing vacation often come home with a specific kind of emptiness that's hard to explain at first. Everything here was built very recently on desert that was mostly empty 40 years ago. And it shows. Everything feels constructed rather than grown. There are no layers of history, no neighborhoods that developed organically over centuries, no sense that the place has a soul of its own. It is at its core a very large shopping mall with an airport. The heat from May through September is not merely uncomfortable, it is genuinely dangerous. With temperatures exceeding 110 degrees Fahrenheit and humidity that makes outdoor activity essentially impossible. Visitors who arrive in summer find themselves shuttled between air-conditioned interiors, which means paying international airfare to spend a week in various versions of the same climate-controlled commercial space. The costs are deceptive. Hotel rates appear competitive on the surface, but hidden fees, resort charges, and taxes routinely add 30 to 50% to the final bill. Alcohol in licensed venues is astronomically priced, and the legal environment carries real risks for Western tourists. Behaviors that are completely unremarkable at home can result in fines or arrest here, including public displays of affection, certain hand gestures, or photographing local residents without permission. That artificiality is uncomfortable, but the next destination on this list has problems that go much deeper and they follow you home. Number 12. Colombia. Medellin in particular has been celebrated as a remarkable transformation story. That reputation has drawn a wave of international visitors, including a large number of American travelers. The problem is that organized crime here has adapted to that tourist wave with disturbing efficiency. The most serious threat is something that many travelers simply don't know about before they arrive. Scopolamine, known locally as borondanga. It is a naturally occurring substance that in small doses produces complete compliance and erases short-term memory. Criminal groups in Medellin and Bogota have developed highly sophisticated methods of delivering it to targets through drinks, through cigarettes, even through treated paper. The primary delivery system in recent years has been dating applications where targets are identified, invited to meet, and then dosed without any awareness that anything has happened. Victims hand over phones, bank cards, and PIN numbers, and sometimes lead strangers directly into their own apartments. The financial damage alone is severe. In combination with alcohol, the substance can cause respiratory failure. This is not a fringe risk. It is documented, consistent, and specifically directed at foreign visitors who appear to be traveling alone. The country has beautiful landscapes, extraordinary coffee country, and a warmth among its people that is genuine. But the informed traveler approaches it with a level of caution that the brochures never mention. Number 11. Italy. Genuinely magnificent. The history, the art, nobody who has stood in the Colosseum or eaten a proper meal in Bologna is going to tell you it isn't worth visiting. But Venice, which draws roughly 30 million visitors a year to a city designed for about 50,000 residents, has become one of the most instructive lessons in what happens when over-tourism reaches its final stage. The canals smell in summer, not faintly, noticeably on warm days, in ways that are difficult to ignore. The streets are so crowded during peak season that walking becomes a slow shuffle shoulder to shoulder with strangers through alleyways too narrow for the volume of people trying to use them. The prices are not local prices. They are tourist trap prices applied to everything from a bottle of water to a gondola ride. The gondola, perhaps the most romantic image associated with the city, costs roughly $100 for 30 minutes and must be booked well in advance during busy periods. Restaurants in the main tourist areas often serve mediocre food at extraordinary prices, banking on the fact that most visitors will never return and can be charged accordingly. The city has actually begun charging day trippers an entry fee to manage the overcrowding, which tells you something about the relationship between Venice and its visitors. Italy, outside the most famous tourist corridors, remains one of the best travel experiences in the world. But Venice in peak season is something travelers increasingly describe as an ordeal dressed up as a dream. Italy tests your patience. But the next destination tests something else entirely: your ability to justify what you spent just getting there. Number 10. Australia. 20+ hours on a plane, a flight bill that rivals a used car, and then you land in Sydney and think, wait, is this just California? That's the specific deflating thought that a surprising number of travelers report after making one of the longest and most expensive journeys in commercial aviation. Australia's major cities are clean, safe, and genuinely pleasant. And that's almost the problem. They don't feel like the other side of the world. They feel like a wealthy, well-organized version of somewhere you've already been with worse exchange rates and higher prices for everything: food, accommodation, internal flights, taxis. Australia sits near the top of every cost of living index on Earth, and visitors feel it immediately. The Great Barrier Reef draws millions specifically for the underwater world, and the disappointment when they arrive is well documented. Decades of coral bleaching have left large sections pale and degraded in ways the tour operators don't advertise. The natural wonders that make Australia genuinely unlike anywhere else. The outback, Tasmania's wilderness, the remote western coastline requires serious planning, significant additional travel, and ideally a rented camper van rather than a hotel booking. The travelers who come home regretting Australia almost always made the same mistake. They spent their budget on the cities. The ones who come home converted spent it on everything else. Number 9. Japan. Beloved by many Americans, the efficiency, the food, the extraordinary blending of ancient tradition and modern technology, travel publications consistently rank it among the greatest destinations on Earth, so it might surprise you to find it here. But serious documented problems exist that travel marketing almost never addresses, and they affect certain travelers, particularly women, in ways that are genuinely troubling. The most serious is the widespread and normalized problem of sexual harassment on public transportation. The phenomenon is common enough that major train networks operate dedicated women-only cars during peak commuting hours, not as a convenience, but as a protective measure. Foreign women, who are unaware of this system and board standard cars during rush hour, have reported experiences that left them shaken and deeply uncomfortable. The broader culture of social indifference means that other passengers rarely intervene, and the problem is significantly underreported. Beyond this, the country's famous orderliness carries a social rigidity that some travelers experience as cold, exclusive, and unwelcoming to outsiders. Certain traditional restaurants still refuse service to foreign visitors. The language barrier is genuine and persistent outside major tourist areas. The overcrowding in famous destinations like Kyoto and central Tokyo has reached a point where local governments are actively implementing tourism restriction policies. Over-tourism fees, blocked photography spots, and access limitations are increasingly common. A remarkable country, but not the frictionless paradise that much of its international reputation suggests. The next destination removes all ambiguity. The problems there are right in front of you from the moment you step off the plane. Number 8. Mexico. The #1 international destination for American travelers. Millions of people cross that border or fly into resort towns every single year. Most of them have a fine time inside the walls of their all-inclusive compounds. But the safety situation outside those walls, and increasingly within them, has deteriorated in ways that deserve honest conversation. The State Department currently has Level 3 advisories for large portions of the country. That's reconsider travel, one step below do not travel. Several states carry Level 4 designations entirely. These aren't abstract warnings. Tourists have been caught in cartel violence in resort towns. Crime targeting visitors in areas just outside major hotels has been documented repeatedly. The gap between the polished resort experience and the reality directly outside the gates is stark. Scams in the most popular tourist areas are relentless. Overpriced taxis without meters, fake tour deals, hidden charges at restaurants, card skimming in busy areas. The issue isn't that the country lacks beauty or authenticity, it has plenty of both. The issue is that the most popular tourist corridors have been engineered to separate visitors from their money as efficiently as possible. And the safety net for when things go wrong is thin. Travelers who venture beyond resort areas without proper preparation and awareness take risks that can escalate quickly. The smaller colonial cities, the archaeological sites, the Pacific coastal towns, these can deliver genuine, rewarding experiences. But you need to go in with eyes open and a plan, not just a booking confirmation. Mexico deserves caution, but the next destination on this list has earned something stronger than caution, and the numbers back it up. Number 7. Germany. Here's one that will surprise most people on this list, and that's entirely the point. Safe, efficient, clean, and historically fascinating. And yet, it has developed a particular brand of tourist disappointment that deserves to be named plainly. The gap between expectation and experience in the most popular destinations is wider than most people anticipate, and the country does very little to close it. Oktoberfest in Munich is the most obvious example. Millions of people travel specifically for this event every year, and what they find is an enormous, extremely expensive, extraordinarily crowded beer festival that feels far more like an industrial tourism operation than a cultural celebration. Reserved tent seats require booking months in advance and cost significant money. The famous beer steins have price tags that would raise eyebrows in New York City. The crowds are overwhelming. The atmosphere in peak hours feels chaotic, and a remarkable number of people finish the experience wondering why they paid so much to stand in a field outside Munich. Neuschwanstein Castle, the fairy tale structure that served as the inspiration for Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle, draws enormous crowds and requires long waits only to reveal that the interior is largely unfinished, and the most famous view requires a hike that most travelers didn't plan for. The cities can feel cold and impersonal to American visitors, expecting warmth and easy social interaction. Efficiency is real and genuine, but efficiency and warmth are not the same thing, and travelers who arrive expecting a friendly, engaging local culture sometimes find instead a very well-organized sense of being left alone. Number 6. Cambodia. Among experienced travelers, this destination has earned a nickname that says everything you need to know before you go. Scambodia. Extraordinary things exist here. Angkor Wat is one of the genuine wonders of the world, full stop, and the weight of the Khmer Empire's history is real and powerful. But the tourism infrastructure is built around extracting money from foreign visitors at every possible moment, and the experience of navigating that can be deeply wearing. Corruption at the border is well documented and specific. Entering the country at certain land crossings, travelers are routinely charged unofficial fees by officials in uniform with no receipts and no recourse. Inside the country, the price differential between what locals pay and what foreigners are expected to pay is applied to everything, often with no consistency and no warning. Driver scams are common. Unlicensed operators offer deals that sound reasonable, and deliver experiences that are anything but. The widespread visible poverty creates a specific kind of moral discomfort for many visitors, made worse by the industry of so-called orphanage tourism, in which travelers pay to visit children's homes that are, in many documented cases, not genuine orphanages at all, but commercial operations that keep children in manufactured poverty as a revenue source. Beyond the scam ecosystem, genuine safety concerns exist in certain areas, particularly near border regions. Angkor Wat is worth seeing. Few things in the world match it, but getting there requires a level of constant vigilance and preparation that turns the experience from a vacation into something closer to an endurance test. Cambodia wears you down slowly. The next destination does it to your wallet all at once, and then charges you for the privilege of complaining about it. Number 5. The Seychelles. Imagine the Maldives but with granite boulders the size of houses sitting on the beaches. The photographs are absolutely real. The water, the boulders, the lush green forest coming down to white sand. It is legitimately one of the most visually spectacular places on Earth. The regret is not about what this place looks like, it is about what it costs to stand there and look at it. Every single thing here is expensive, not European expensive, not Caribbean expensive. This is a different scale entirely. A short taxi ride 3 or 4 miles has been reported at prices approaching $80. A basic meal at a mid-range restaurant for 2 people easily runs $100 to $150 before drinks. Almost everything on the islands is imported, which means every layer of cost between the point of origin and your plate or your hotel room is baked into the final price. There are very few alternatives. The island nation is remote, the competition is limited, and the operators know it. Travelers who arrive hoping to find some local affordable option away from the resort prices quickly discover that the local option is also expensive, just with a simpler menu. The natural experience, snorkeling, hiking through the Vallée Demi on Prolin, watching giant tortoises move through the palm forest is genuinely extraordinary, but the price of admission to those experiences layered on top of the flight cost and the accommodation cost leads many travelers to a very simple conclusion. For what this trip costs, there are 20 other destinations that would have made them happier. Number 4. Jamaica, the Caribbean destination that Americans reach for by default. Decades of tourism marketing have made it feel familiar, approachable, and reliable. But the reality in 2026 is considerably more complicated than the all-inclusive brochures suggest. And many travelers come home with an experience they didn't sign up for. This island consistently carries one of the highest violent crime rates in the Western Hemisphere. The State Department has maintained elevated advisories for years, citing armed robberies, assaults, and gang violence that are not confined to areas tourists don't go. They occur in and around the same cities and transit corridors that millions of visitors pass through every year. The resort model that operates here is in many ways a direct response to this reality. The large, all-inclusive properties invest heavily in private security, high perimeter fencing, and controlled environments specifically because the areas immediately outside them carry genuine risk. Travelers who choose to explore independently, to rent a car, to wander off the resort strip, to visit local beaches, take on risks that the resort experience is specifically designed to shield them from. Beyond safety, value for money is a persistent complaint. Resort pricing has risen significantly, and the quality of the all-inclusive food and accommodation often doesn't match what similar prices buy in other Caribbean destinations. The island has beauty and culture worth experiencing, but the infrastructure for experiencing it safely and authentically is far thinner than the marketing would ever lead you to believe. Number 3. Morocco. Visually one of the most stunning countries on Earth. The meadows, the desert, the mountain villages, the Atlantic coastline, all of it is real and all of it is breathtaking. The problem is that getting to any of it requires running a gauntlet that many travelers describe as one of the most psychologically exhausting experiences of their lives. The aggressive harassment that visitors face in Marrakesh, and to a lesser degree in Fez and other major tourist cities, is not occasional and not mild. It is constant, organized, and specifically designed to disorient and overwhelm. Fake guides who block entrances and claim that a particular route is closed, then physically steer you toward shops where they collect a commission. This happens to virtually every tourist who walks through the Medina without an experienced escort. Women traveling here face an additional layer of difficulty that goes well beyond the standard tourist pressure. Verbal harassment on the streets, including explicit comments, persistent following, and deliberate physical crowding, is widely reported, including by women traveling in mixed gender groups. The henna trap is a well-documented scam. A woman approaches and begins applying henna to a tourist's hand before any agreement has been reached, then demands a large sum for the application with increasingly aggressive behavior if payment is refused. Pickpocketing and phone snatching, often by motorbike, happens in the narrow lanes of the Medinas. The constant pressure of bargaining for every single transaction, from taxis to souvenirs to basic food, creates a state of perpetual tension that drains the joy from even the most beautiful surroundings, worth visiting but only with specific preparation, a licensed guide, and a very clear-eyed understanding of what you're walking. Subscribe for more intriguing travel videos.